One of my favorite all-time jams, man. It takes me back to the days where I was up to no good. Where when my hustle first got perverted, and that song was brought to you by Young Biz Kids. If you guys are in the St. Louis metro area, be sure to come out to the Young Biz Kids Marketplace, going down at Soulard Market. I'll get the address for you here later. But I love those young entrepreneurs over there, and that kind of brings us into today's topic for the Hustle Hour. I want to talk about the um, legitimate hustle versus the street hustle. And you guys know, most of you should, that selling dope and dancing and some of the young ladies are into selling their bodies and all this kind of stuff. All of that is a perversion on entrepreneurship, right? So when I say legitimate hustle versus street hustle, what I'm really getting at is the need for more legitimate entrepreneurs and business people to make themselves available to young people when they are at that critical and impressionable stage in their lives where they really could go either way, because there's no doubt in my mind, as we were coming up, and my crew, as we transitioned from playing sports all the time to start trying to make money with cutting grass and raking leaves and that kind of stuff. I very easily could have been taken under the wing of someone who had a legitimate business enterprise, and they could have taught me how to build a business even as a kid, and been under someone's apprenticeship. And just as easily, I could have been taken astray. Now, I do have to give mad love to my Uncle Mac, because as an entrepreneur, I have never known my Uncle Mac to do anything but run his own business. And at the time, when I was about 10, 11 years old, he had his own candy truck. So he would come get us in the summers, and that was the only person that I can recall as a legitimate entrepreneur who tried to step in and give us some other alternatives. But I don't think he understood the influence that he had. Otherwise, he could have really, really helped keep us from going astray. And that was my cousin and myself. Shout out to King Doe out of the mean streets of Wellston. But he didn't have the influence, because I think he could have probably coached us and helped us in a little way. Because when we got to 13, 14, we was like, man, I ain't working on no candy truck. It's like, man, I got to go get some real money. But what we didn't realize is that he was getting real money.
Right.
He just didn't live that lifestyle that showed that he was getting that kind of money. But he probably, when he saw us that becoming more of a motivating factor for us, he probably could have pulled us to the back room and showed us some bank statements and said, look, little boy, this is real money,
Right.
right? Don't you? I ain't worried about going to jail. I ain't worried about looking over my shoulder. I ain't worried about none of that. I'm making legitimate money, and I think more legitimate business owners and entrepreneurs have to be, not just take kids under their wing, but be present in the community. They need to see that there is another way, and not just be told that there is another way. And then, some of us might need to see a legitimate bankroll.
That's right. That's right.
Because we see the bankroll from the street guys, but we might need to see somebody take us into a bank account, into a bank, and say, hey, I want you to pull up my bank registry and my bank history, and I want this young man to count all these zeros that's attached to my bank account, and let them know that I don't have to walk around with a stack of 10 grand, but I can write a check.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I think that's very important, because even now, they are so young, starting off in the streets and, making runs and doing whatever they are doing to get maybe $20, $30, and they are so young. They start so young, and it's really, really sad that there is no one around to show them something different. We have like they 12 and 13, or could be even younger than that.
Sometimes younger.
That's
Sometimes
on the
younger.
street, straight hustling. And you start them that young. Sometimes it's hard to bring them back.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I thank God for me that I know a lot of the guys that I ran with, and I won't say any names, but I one of my best buddies, man, his whole goal in life was to move keys. That was his whole goal in life. It didn't matter that there was opportunities to make the same kind of money in real estate, to make the same kind of money in other businesses, but that was his whole goal. He just wanted to move weight. But on the other hand, you had a guy like me. I was really just searching for the respect that the dope boys got in the streets. That was my whole thing. Even though we grew up on welfare, we was flat broke. I could have used the money to have cars and fancy clothes and all that stuff, but I'm not money motivated like that. I was looking at and looking up to these guys that they were respected, like in our community, they were respected like respectable businessmen. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was more after, that respect. I saw that the young girls gave these guys a certain amount of respect. I saw that the other young guys in the community, even if they weren't involved in that whole lifestyle, they respected those guys in a certain way. And that's what I wanted. Now, I could have easily been influenced to go the other way and say, hey, let me show you what real respect looks like. And I could have been with a young executive or a young CEO, and they could have taken me into a boardroom where the meeting doesn't start till they show up. That's respect.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But I mean, I just didn't have that in my community.